Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be doing our July native plant garden tour. We've got lots of lovely things in bloom right now, a lot of warm colors, some Lanceleaf Coreopsis, some beautiful Scarlet Beebalm, and our black-eyed Susans are blooming right now as well. So lots of lovely things to share. I'll get right to the videos now. Thank you so much for watching. Here is our beautiful Lanceleaf Coreopsis. We've already had a ton of blooms. I did a dead head of the blooms just to help it continue blooming. And we've got a whole bunch more coming. Lots of gorgeous yellow sunshine flowers that keep the pollinators very, very happy. Here's our wild blue lupine. All the flowers have passed and now the seed pods are ready for harvesting. You know, when they start getting dry and crispy like this, and then they will actually unfurl and drop their seeds. So if you want to collect the seeds, you might want to do so when they're looking kind of like this, because they will crack open and then just drop them right there. So I did that last year and I got a whole bunch of wee babies. See, we've got some babies over here. There's another one right over there, which I'm quite happy about, but I would like to collect some this year, so I'm going to be snipping these off and saving them for friends. I did notice that some jerks, these earwigs, have gotten in here, so keep an eye out for that because that's not cool. I'm going to be taking them out and finding a new home for them. And here, see, this is one of the pods that is unfurling. See how it's kind of curled? It's now opened and all the seeds have fallen, or they got munched up by these jerks. So keep an eye out for invaders like earwigs. I think that there's some more evidence of them here. See all those little bits? I don't know if they're eggs or droppings or what, but they've been munching on my lupine. So I'm gonna be saving these seeds so that they can't have any more, and then we can make more lupine babies from them. Here's our heartleaf foamflower. It's looking really, really good. It's gotten a lot more water this year than it did last year. It has some nibbles from some kind of creature that's been visiting, and nothing more will probably change for the next little while. This is how it will look for the rest of the season. So flowers are past, and now it'll just be nice, lovely greenery in my shady garden. Here's our swamp milkweed. It's looking awesome. This was just a tiny wee thing last year, and now it's about 3, maybe 4 feet tall, and it's looking very, very happy. I don't see any flowers yet, but there is still hope. My other swamp milkweed, there's one little guy in our Boulevard garden, and it's got flowers. So who knows? We might get some this year. We might have to wait till next year. But either way, it's looking really happy. So I'm really pleased about that. And fingers crossed we'll get a caterpillar or two on these as well. So here's our pale purple coneflower, and you can see it looks kind of embarrassing. I think I'm going to need to get a tomato cage or something to help this stand up because it has flopped right over our hydrangea here. It's over here beside our swamp milkweed, and it's clearly doing well. It just needs a little bit of support, I think. So we've got some flowers that have already passed, and then we've got some new ones here. And I do think this is such a beautiful flower. Look how it's kind of green in the center and rosy, and then turns into this pale lavender color. Just gorgeous. Funny enough, I have 2 of the pale purple coneflower from the Reap Green Solution Bloom in the Box kit in my other garden, and they have no signs of bloom. So this guy seems to be very happy back here. Not sure what's going on with the other 2. Here's our little patch of Scarlet Beebalm. Now, I really wish that this was a really bushy kind of area here, just full of Scarlet Beebalm, but it doesn't seem to want to do that here. So if you have any tips for me on keeping this guy happy, please let me know. This bloom here is starting to pass, but we've got some more blooms coming. We've got some more blooms right here coming, and we've got a little bit of powdery mildew happening as well. So I hear that what they need for that is space, but clearly it has a ton of space. So if you have any other ideas on how to keep this happy in my garden, please do let me know. Over beside our Scarlet Beebalm is our obedient plant, and this is one of my favorite plants. It blooms for so long. It's absolutely gorgeous, and there are all these stalks that have like a spire of blooms at the end, and they start blooming at the base, and then they go up to the tip, and there's some of the blooms already popped. They look like little dragon heads, which is why this is also called false dragon head. And you can see it's called obedient plant because it listens to you. It just, you say move this way, it stays that way. Move that way, it stays that way. Strange, right? But kind of cool. I've also heard that it is not an obedient plant when it comes to growing. People consider this plant fairly aggressive. I haven't found that. It has like gotten bushier here and I've divided it and shared with friends, but it really hasn't gone bonkers. Now I do deadhead it so it doesn't spread by seed. So I do share those seeds and plant them elsewhere, but that is a way to contain this plant if you don't want it to spread very vigorously in your yard. Here is our baby birch tree. I just love this plant. I think it's so cute. It's about 4 feet tall right now, got lots of leaves, clearly very, very happy, nice and green, kind of shiny even. And we've got new leaves coming too. It's just so cute. This is about 2 or 3 years old now. So it was just a wee little thing that my friend grew from me from seed. So very excited to have this guy in my native plant collection. Over here we have our Rudbeckia hirta, or the native black-eyed Susans. These guys, similar to our pale purple coneflower, are flopping right over, so I'm going to get some supports for them as well. I thought they might be happy behind this phlox here, but clearly that is not enough for them to stand up. So we're going to get some support so that it can kind of fill in and look great, but you can tell that we've got tons of flowers here. Let's get a nice close-up for you. I do just love this plant. It's so beautiful. It just screams summer. Now this is significantly different than the Rudbeckia fulgida goldstrum, and there are a couple ways to identify this plant. And one is that they have fuzzy leaves. They look kind of spiky, but they're actually kind of soft. And so that's one way to identify them. And another is, well, my Rudbeckia fulgida goldstrum aren't blooming yet. These guys have bloomed for a couple weeks now. I'm going to take you over to the Rudbeckia fulgida goldstrum now. But wait, we have a visitor. Can you see the little hoverfly? Let's see if I can get a close up. So over here is our Rudbeckia fulgida goldstrum. So this is the cultivar of black-eyed Susans, and there's a couple different plants that are called black-eyed Susan, but you want to try to go with the native variety for your area. So this one, you can see here that the leaves are not quite as hairy. So they kind of feel a little fuzzy, but they are certainly not as like hairy or fuzzy as the Rudbeckia hirta. And then they haven't bloomed yet. So the Rudbeckia fulgida goldstrum are perennial. You can see them kind of building this little patch over here, whereas the Rudbeckia hirta are biennial, and you really want them to drop their seed so that they can continue their plant establishment as well. Here is our marginal fern and a rogue dandelion. The marginal fern is doing really well. I actually got a bunch more from my cottage on a visit this month because they just pop up in a spot where we mow. I like to bring them here because they do really, really well in more drier conditions, unlike some of the other ferns that need it to be a little bit more moist than what I have here. Over here is our Solomon seal. Love this plant, stands up nice and tall, looks great in the garden. I like it in front of my little porch that I've got here. And then beside it, we've got our Canada anemone. I have some plants that we transplanted last year, and then these lighter colored ones were fall sowed last fall. And so they're doing really great, and they look like they're gonna succeed, and fingers crossed we'll have them for good as well. So over here is our shady garden with all new plants, most which are native. We've got some large leaf aster over here, some zigzag goldenrod at the back here, a bush honeysuckle right in the middle, some bottle brush grass over here to the right. And then we've got a couple of steelbs, which are not native, but we've got some woodland strawberry and some ferns. And I think that much might be Dutchman's breeches. We will have to see next spring when they bloom, but you can see here that the strawberries are really starting to branch out. They got all sorts of little leggies, so that's awesome because I'm going to use that as a ground cover in the front of the garden here. So very excited to see that. And check it out. The plant that I thought was super dead is not. We've got lots of leaves here. So this thing is coming back. This is a choke cherry that I transplanted from a friend. Again, thank you for that. And it is surviving. So that is to say, if you get a transplant, usually the plants are quite angry. Give them some time. You never know. They can bounce back. So very happy to see that. And don't mind the kind of ugly flowers and stems at the back. I kind of like to throw spent flowers and spent branches and whatnot at the back there, but this has all got to grow in so nobody can see it. So in time, hopefully all of this will look nice and full, and I'll kind of toss things back there for them to decompose over time. So that will come in time, and for now, this is it. Here's our New England Aster. It's about 4 feet tall right now. It's looking nice and bushy. I did the Chelsea chop so it wouldn't look so tall and leggy. And so it's working. It's really branching out and looking nice and full. Very excited for these lovely purple flowers that will come in the early fall. Here's our butterfly weed. It is all in bloom, but it definitely looks like it's stretching out. As I've said in previous videos, I've got this purple sand cherry here that got way bigger than I thought it was going to get in a very short time. And so now this guy's getting a little shaded out. So you can tell that he's kind of reaching out for the sun a bit, but he's still doing okay. Still got lots of blooms, and fingers crossed we'll get some caterpillars on there too. Over here in our shady garden, we've got some wild Columbine. Now this is all gone to seed. You can see that the seed pods are all brown and crispy. This means that the seeds are ready for harvesting if you'd like to do that. Now I did harvest a whole bunch of seeds, and so I'm just gonna leave these guys on for the critters and the birds so that they can enjoy some too. And if I get any more blooms, I'll leave them as well. Over here is our wee little Redbud. It is just so cute. This is going to be a small tree, but right now it's about 2 feet tall. It's got these lovely heart-shaped leaves, and right now it's kind of hugging this crocus mia that I have here because it's nice and sturdy, and it's going to help this guy stand up straight. Here's our Prairie Smoke in our Boulevard garden. It's looking great, nice and happy. The flowers are all spent and the seeds are gone. So I did not collect any because I was not quick enough. I did put a couple just kind of in and amongst the mulch here, so hopefully that will help the plant make some new plant babies, but who knows where the other ones went. If I find some volunteers of this, I'll be very pleased. So over here in our Boulevard garden, we've got 2 types of milkweed. We've got the common milkweed here, and then this is the swamp milkweed. I don't remember planting that, but I'm very happy to have it here, and it seems happy as well. Even though it's a swamp milkweed, this is a super dry garden, so who knows what's going on, but either way, it's lovely. Let's look at the flowers. Aren't they gorgeous? Just beautiful. I've got some kind of, I'm not sure if that's an egg or what it is. I'm really, really hoping it's an egg, but the monarch eggs that I've seen have looked different. Look, we might have more. Do you know what this is? Please let me know if you do. Now I did see, I just flicked off one of the earwigs that was on this. So you got to be really careful if you've got monarch eggs because they might eat the monarch eggs. So I will take a peek and see if I can find any monarch eggs on this one. But my neighbor has one. I'll show you a close-up of the monarch eggs. Very, very exciting. So over here we have the common milkweed, and I wanted to show you this one in particular because I think we have some little monarch eggs, which is so incredibly exciting. There, can you see it? That tiny little thing is a monarch egg. And this guy is actually my neighbor's, and he's just sitting in a pot. There's a little bit of the invasive periwinkle, which maybe we'll chat with them about as well. But either way, this is something that is clearly growing really, really well in this pot. I'm pretty sure it was a volunteer that they've just let grow. And now look, so I mean, negative with the invasive, but amazing with the monarch host plant. So we'll just take that as a win, right? This is the Rudbeckia hirta that's in our Boulevard garden, and it's significantly smaller and standing up nicely as compared to the ones in the backyard, which are bigger, but they're all flopping over. So which one's a win, I don't know. Either way, I've got lots of blooms, which is making me really, really happy. Over here in our Boulevard garden, we've got our Eastern Prickly Pear Cactus, and it's looking really, really happy. These new pads are nice and big. All of the little spikies are super sharp, so just be careful if you're going to be working with this plant at all. But very, very cool native plant to Southern Ontario. It is very happy here despite our cold winters, and everybody seems to want to talk about it too, which bonus points for talking about native plants. So if that's what gets the conversation going, that's awesome. Over here in this kind of corner spot where our backyard meets our front yard, we've got a whole raspberry patch over here. Not native, but super tasty. This is our already probably 7-foot tall Canada goldenrod. So this was a volunteer that came last year and I let it do its thing, and now I have baby goldenrods everywhere. But look at how happy it is. It's making itself quite at home here, and it had a ton of pollinators last year. So happy to have that guy around again this year. Perhaps I might deadhead it after it's done blooming though, because I got so many volunteers that I don't really think I want that in my own yard. Never mind my neighbors as well. So anyhow, very excited to have these beautiful golden blooms sometime in the next couple months, I would say early fall. Here we have our serviceberry. This is one of the plants that I planted this spring from Ontario Native Plants, and this is the happiest one that I've got. I've got 4 serviceberries on my property, and this is the only one that's looking remotely happy. Fingers crossed I can make them as happy as I can, because I love serviceberry. I'm gonna walk you over this way. Past the peonies, and over here is our other serviceberry from Ontario Native Plants. I don't know if it's getting nibbled or what, but it's not quite looking as happy, but still green, still has some leaves, so fingers crossed for that guy too. And then all down this kind of aisle or row here, we've got the native black raspberries. Those are, I'm very, very much looking forward to. Not looking like we're going to get any this year, but hopefully next year. And then this sad little guy over here is our wild low bush blueberry. And I had a whole bunch of them along this side here, and they got fried. So this one's also looking fried. So I think I'm going to find another spot for it, because it's clearly a little bit too dry and sunny for it here. But in any case, this was going to be our berry spot, but we're going to do a little bit of a little rejig, because we got to listen to the plants, right? If they're looking really unhappy, then we got to kind of make adjustments as we go. So over here in our part sun, part shade garden, we've got our little blue stem plant, and it is doing so well. I just love the kind of frosty green foliage that it has. And then in the fall, it turns almost like a rosy foliage. It's absolutely gorgeous throughout the whole summer and then into fall as well. Love it, love it, love it. I got this from the Reap Green Solutions Sun Bloom in the Box. So that was a super success, because I didn't have this guy before. And I've got another one in the Boulevard garden as well. So I wanted to show you a comparison of our pale purple coneflower. This guy here is probably 1 foot tall, no blooms, and we've got his friend over here looking kind of scraggly. Now this is kind of part shade, probably a lot more dry than the other part of my garden, but funny to see the significant difference, even just, 50 feet apart. So really expresses the interesting concept of microclimate. So this little microclimate is clearly not as sufficient for the pale purple coneflower as the one that I've got in the backyard. So interesting. So here's some of our seedlings. We've got some great blue lobelia here. I do think we have a couple volunteer goldenrod here. And then with this guy, I looked up on iNaturalist, and it is not native. So as soon as it stops blooming, I'm going to yoink him out. And we're soon going to find a new home for these guys in the garden, because they're getting big enough that I think they're going to survive okay. So this little patch is our Golden Alexander seedlings, and I'm not quite sure I see them. I do see goldenrod. I do see this giant volunteer, but I'm not sure if the little guys in here are Golden Alexanders or not. So if you think they are, then let me know. If you think they are not, or you think there's something else, then please let me know too, because I would like to know what I'm growing here. I'm very excited to see the Jack in the Pulpit seedlings. They're quite tiny right now, so I'm going to give them a little bit more time in here before I put them in the garden. But I've only seen these in the wild, so if you have tips on growing Jack in the Pulpit in a home garden, let me know, because I'm interested to learn. We've also got some nodding onion over here, and these guys are going to find a home in the garden soon. We've also, this is supposed to be giant sunflowers, and I have this. I don't know what this is. If you do, let me know. Another random thing, this was supposed to be false sunflower, and I don't think this is. I'm not sure what this is. Someone suggested great blue lobelia, but this definitely looks different than the plants over there. We've also got some American bellflower. Lots of this. Love to hear how these grow in your gardens as well, because I have never grown this before. And then this was supposed to be rough blazing star, and I think it's just goldenrod. And who knows what. So the fun adventures of growing things by seed, especially when fall sowing, you never know what you're going to get. We've got some spotted bee balm here, some more goldenrod, and what was this one supposed to be? False beard tongue. So hopefully that's what these guys are. A couple more seedlings over here. This is our white turtle head. We've got anise hyssop that's going to need a home soon, getting nice and big. Don't look at the invasive morning glories. We've got butterfly weed. I love, love, love this plant. I really want these guys to succeed, so I'm going to plant them in a couple spots in the garden and share with a few more people, but kind of want to keep some of those for myself. We've got some dense blazing star here coming along. I think that there's some sneezeweed in here amongst the random volunteers, which again could be goldenrod. And then what do we have here? Oh, Virginia mountain mint. Does this look like Virginia mountain mint to you? I hope so. Again, definitely volunteers. Some need to go, some might stay, but lots of fun things coming along. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found the video interesting and helpful. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. We've got videos just like this coming up for the whole growing season and lots of other little gardening tidbits as well. Thanks again for watching and happy gardening.